We've been talking about Auburn's head coaching search for weeks. Is that home run hire even out there?
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We are joined by Locked On College Football Spencer McLaughlin for a few minutes today, gracing us, blessing us with his presence.
You are so welcome.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. So the discussion around Auburn's head coach, or who will be Auburn's next head coach, obviously has been a big thing around here. And I've speculated, and I think most Auburn fans are in agreement, like the last two cycles, the cycle for when we hired Brian Harsin and the cycle for when we hired Hugh Freeze, it was easy to dream about a few guys, right? To the point where like we thought we had Lane Kiffin last time, right? Like a home run, no-brainer. There's not really much of that this time, and it doesn't seem to be that at LSU or Florida either. Is that clear, like, next guy up out there, and maybe we're just not paying attention to it?
Well, Jon Sumrall is a name that comes to mind. I'm sure he'll pop up more and more as his Green Wave have re-entered the top 25 in the playoff rankings. They've been in my top 25 rankings for quite a while, but that's neither here nor there. So I think the phrase home run hire for Auburn is a matter of perspective. Is Lane Kiffin the only home run hire that you see out there? Or do you think pulling Eli Drinkwitz away from Missouri would be a home run? Do you think Jon Sumrall is so good? I can tell in your facial reactions you're not in that camp. Is Jon Sumrall, in your view, so good that landing him instead of letting him go to LSU, a state he's already coaching in, or to Florida, who could be interested as well? Maybe Penn State wants to go after him. Yeah. Is a move like that a home run, or is it just a good move? Because when you think of the list of candidates that are going to be in the running for the Auburn job, Lane Kiffin's at the top of your wish list. But Auburn is not at the top of Lane Kiffin's wish list, who's clearly talking other schools.
There's no shot Lane Kiffin ends up at Auburn.
No.
I just don't. I don't know if I buy that he's. I don't know. There's so much disaster going on there as far as, who's saying what, and now he's going on Pat McAfee to like do damage control, whatever. I don't think Auburn's a part of this. So, I mean, the first name you mentioned, Jon Sumrall, he appears to be the most likely option. Can I make it make sense? Yes. But I can make a lot of these guys make sense. There's arguments for and against every candidate you just mentioned. In fact, like among realistic candidates, I think the only one I would label home run is Kenny Dillingham. And I don't know how likely that is, Spencer.
I don't think it's incredibly likely. He came out and made what I describe as a mostly declarative statement that he's not leaving Arizona State. It was, I was never leaving. And I said, wait a minute. Why is there past tense? What do you, huh? That's different, right? Because the way that other coaches have shut this down is either with specific words. I think Dan Lanning at Oregon, who has said, I'm not going anywhere. Or when he was, rumored to be a candidate for the Alabama job, put out the video, if you're worried your coach is leaving, come play for us. I'm not going anywhere. Like, that's one way to do it. And then there's action. There is Rhett Lashley signing an extension at SMU. Matt Rule signing an extension at Nebraska. Those are the two ways. And I think Dillingham is above what Lane Kiffin has done. Lane Kiffin is clearly talking to other schools and weighing his options. And why wouldn't he? Because he has more leverage, I think, than any college coaching candidate in recent memory.
Correct.
I think Dillingham would be closer to a home run hire, but I wonder from a coaching pedigree standpoint if that isn't more because he's a newer name and he'd have a freshness to him and he hasn't been discussed as often.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy who's been to the place that everybody's trying to get to, and he got there at Arizona State. Now, is the path to the playoff easier at Arizona State than it is Auburn? Yes. I don't think anybody's going to push back.
On the field, yes. Off the field, I don't know. Arizona State, he's trying every week, it feels like, to get the Arizona State community to buy in as much as he has bought in to making the Sun Devils a power in the Big 12.
Yeah, and I think stuff like that is why, like, it may not be this offseason, but eventually, especially if they keep winning, where he's like, do I want to? I shouldn't have to do this. I shouldn't have to do this. So when everyone's like, oh, well, he's an alum, and I'm like, well, he's not going to finish his career there. I'd be shocked if he's there 20 years from now, right? So we'll see. I could be wrong, but we'll see. But it does seem like the most likely option is Jon Sumrall. That's kind of been where we've been even before Freeze was let go. Eli Drinkwitz, there seems to be some chatter lately around that, but I think it's an upgrade. But would I say that that's a home run hire, Spencer? I don't think I could get there.
Well, I don't know, even in a normal coaching cycle, which this is not, because you have Florida, Auburn, LSU, Arkansas, and Penn State open, with Virginia Tech just getting filled by James Franklin at the same
and think
time.
About it, like, they're going to get guys who are sitting elsewhere. Like, I think Tulane is an attractive place. He's going to go somewhere. What if Drinkwitz does go to Auburn or Florida or Penn State? Okay, then that's going to happen. Ole Miss is probably going to be empty at some point. Like, this coaching carousel is going to be, this is only the first wave of it.
Yeah, because the season is still ongoing, right?
Right.
You don't have the places that, and by the way,
Arkansas, like,
don't forget about
school.
Don't forget about the coordinator carousel as well. Because another thing, when you talk about group of 5 teams and whether those coaches will move up to the Power 4 ranks and the risk that has. And I think Billy Napier did some real harm to the group of 5 coaching ranks in the SEC world, whereas they don't have a Curt Cignetti that's come from that level and really succeeded, at least not off the top of my head. I think everyone else has been a lot more established. But I think Hugh Freeze is part of that as well, because where did he come from? Obviously, there was Ole Miss a long time ago, but right before, he was at Liberty. Well, yeah. Liberty actually invests, believe it or not, a lot into their sports programs, and they have a lot of money. And so I think, kind of.
I mean, maybe we feel differently because UCF's now in the P4, but they weren't when he left. Like,
yeah, Scott Frost. He went to Nebraska. By the way, that should have felt like a home run hire. And winning the moment can feel good and exciting. It can invigorate a fan base. Did Curt Cignetti win the moment, or was he just a good hire?
I think he's just a good football coach.
He's just a good football coach.
Yeah, so that's what you got to hope if it is Jon Sumrall, right? But I love that you said that, because my comments are filled whenever I do a show based on Sumrall, it's, oh, he's Billy Napier 2.0. It's like, well, like, we don't know that yet.
And here's the other thing. Every single coach, I don't care who you hire, even Lane Kiffin, wherever he winds up, you cannot make a 100% guarantee. There is never in college sports, in the coaching world, a 100% guarantee that this guy is going to work. Because on paper, Hugh Freeze should have had more success at Auburn than he had. And guess what? We know how that went down. Scott Frost at Nebraska, nothing about Scott Frost going to Nebraska spelled that it was never going to even come close to working, which it didn't. That on paper looked like a great move. Proven head coach, been around college football, alum of the school, had a lot of success.
LSU didn't work.
What's that?
Brian Kelly to LSU. I mean, guys,
same thing. And people can dog on Brian Kelly all they want. Like, a coach that has won at a high playoff caliber level at 2 different places, that should have worked at LSU. It should have translated. And for one reason or another, it didn't. So every coaching hire has the same questions, which is, once a coach gets there, how's he going to be able to fit in? What's the recruiting going to be like? What's the staff situation going to be? Who's he going to hire? And are those moves going to work? Because I know people talk a lot about the culture that Brian Kelly didn't adapt to, and the accent thing is worthy of being mocked for sure. The biggest failure, in my view, for Brian Kelly at LSU was his staff. He did not hire correctly. He had the right OC at first. He had the wrong defensive coordinator. Then the OC leaves to Notre Dame, Mike Denbrock. He he makes the wrong hire, but then he gets the defensive coordinator right. So it was always flip-flopped. And so for that to be the case, I think was LSU's biggest downfall ultimately, and why it didn't work out.
Where does Auburn sit among open jobs? And I'm going to make the case of like why it actually doesn't matter. And I didn't see that coming. And I want your thoughts. Can Auburn beat Alabama? That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's number one sports book.
Number one.
Can't imagine wagering anywhere else. No. Auburn, a 27.5-point favorite against Mercer. I'll get your, we'll talk about that more in a second. But the more interesting line, Auburn just a 5.5-point dog at home in the Iron Bowl. It's under a touchdown, Spencer. It's under a touchdown.
Oh, my goodness.
And your reaction is exactly what I was expecting.
Oh, my goodness. Under a touch. This is going to be one of the most fantastic Iron Bowls in the lead up in recent memory. Because in retrospect, there are some phenomenal ones, right? The kick six is number one in my mind forever and always. Like if you just take a 30,000-foot view of it, and the 4th and 31 is in there as well. But the kick six is number one forever and always.
Cam back, 2019, the doink or whatever people are calling. I mean, we've had some good ones for sure. And we've been on the wrong side of some good ones. 4th and 31.
Yeah.
Overtime with TJ Finley versus Bryce Young, which is still wild to think about. But regardless, right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. I can't imagine buying tickets anywhere other than with our friends at Game Time.
I don't. I use Game Time all the time.
For everything, because you can buy tickets, for everything. College football, college basketball now rocking and rolling, the NBA, doesn't matter what it is, concerts, the theater, comedy shows, they've got you covered. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first.
Do you want to know a fun fact? I think you do. I will be
I have to say yes
at the Auburn basketball game on Monday in Las Vegas, and I got my tickets at Game Time.
When we play Oregon.
Correct.
That makes sense that you're going to that.
Yes.
Swipe, tap, ticket, go, download Game Time today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. One of the bigger arguments for like holding on to Hugh Freeze was all of the jobs that are open. This was before LSU was open, if my memory serves correct. And I was a little concerned about it, but one thing I didn't see coming, you tell me if you think I'm wrong on this, but I don't think these schools appear to be going after the same candidates. Like it kind of seems irrelevant to me.
I think Drinkwitz is probably the biggest crossover name.
That's probably true.
And then Kiffin is Florida LSU, but I mean, Kiffin to Auburn, Kiffin to Arkansas, Kiffin to Penn State. No,
I don't think it's happening.
None of that is.
You're not really hearing Sumrall to anywhere else but Auburn.
I mean, Sumrall to LSU is possible. He's already in the state.
I think that's hurting him based off people I've talked to.
That doesn't surprise me, frankly.
Like, I don't think Auburn, like if Sumrall was still at Troy, I don't think this is possible. Like, I don't think Auburn could hire the sitting head coach at Troy.
Probably not, which is, of course, why Sumrall goes to Tulane, proves he can win, and then wants to get a bigger job.
Right.
One name that could have crossover appeal for a couple of these jobs, Alex Golish at South Florida.
I'm surprised we haven't heard his name as much.
I think his name and Eric Morris's name at North Texas are two that are flying under the radar. Eric Morris feels like Rhett Lashley to me. Okay. And by the way, I think Rhett Lashley's a good coach. And before he got extended at SMU, I think he would have been a legitimate candidate for the Auburn or the Arkansas job. Heck, he might have been, and his agent might have leveraged that into an extension with the Mustangs. So
good point.
I'm with you that I don't think there's massive crossover, depending on which schools you're talking about. But the only two schools that could hire Lane Kiffin are Florida or LSU.
Mm-hmm.
No one else is going to get. And he's the biggest name. I could see Eric Morris being the head coach at Arkansas. I'll throw that out there right now. I could absolutely see that.
Where are you with Brohm?
He's such a sneaky candidate. Louisville is not a bad job. I don't think there's
a lot of Auburn people that want Brohm.
I don't think it's a great job. And here's why that would make sense from an Auburn fan standpoint.
DJ Durkin.
Yes. I was going for a different angle, which is that Hugh Freeze just came in as an offensive guru play caller and had horrific quarterback play for 3 seasons. Like, it was bad. It was substandard. Jeff Brohm might be the second best quarterback offensive coordinator play caller guy in all of college football to Lincoln Riley. And heck, Jeff Brohm might be first because he's doing a lot more with less. Now, Louisville's had a tough
Riley rumors. You hear that?
I have. I don't think there's a lot of weight to it right now. I think there's more than nothing, though. I'm fascinated by all of that because do I think Lincoln Riley
did this interview where he's like, and you wouldn't believe who reached out, and there's a lot of assumption that he was referring to Lincoln Riley.
Well, there was also the Pate interview on, I forget what show it was, and he said, "Watch out for Lincoln Riley." I have had a couple of conversations with folks who have just kind of said, "Yeah, just keep an eye out. Like it's not impossible." Basically, is where it's at.
That he hates LA, that it's not a fit.
Yeah, I think it's more about the Big Ten. I don't know if he loves the Big Ten. He's griped publicly about the travel before. USC was playing at home when they were in the rain last week, but they have to go a long way. It's a different style of football. I could see, I would not be shocked anymore. 2 weeks ago, I would have said, absolutely not. But in conversations that I've had with a couple of different folks, I'm not expecting it right now. Saying it's more likely than not. I'm just saying
we talk about home run hire, though. I would add him to the list.
Yes, if you pulled Lincoln Riley away, I don't think he wants to go to the SEC. But I think if you pulled him away from USC, that would fit the bill. That would be a statement. That would be a home run hire. I don't know if it's the most perfect fit in the world, but it would certainly fit the bill.
Things, though, where it's like, I think this is worth the risk. Like, yeah, I think this is worth it. But
it could be, yeah. But on the Jeff Brohm front, Jeff Brohm is as good with quarterback. He got Tyler Shuck to be a 2nd-round pick in the NFL draft. And
insane.
Tyler Shuck is perfectly fine, had a solid college career at 3 different places. But I tell you what, him being a 2nd-round pick in the NFL draft.
As a rookie, right?
Yeah, that's crazy work. Crazy work. So I think that's an interesting angle because there's that similarity that Brohm calls plays, that he's a quarterback whisperer, at least perceived to be that. I think he's better at it than Hugh Freeze, and Auburn has been watching 3 years of poor quarterback play, and I think would get at least an improvement if they hired Jeff Brohm.
Yeah, sadly, it's been longer than 3 years. But, all right, Auburn versus Mercer, whatever. Auburn versus Alabama.
5.5. What are you trying to tell me?
I always say that this isn't going to happen.
What are you trying to tell me, Vegas?
Hope is bubbling up inside of me.
What are you trying to tell us, Vegas? I think a couple of things. First of all, that Alabama is a really good team, but not a complete team, is why that line is so small. They have a couple of areas, special teams and run game, saw that against Oklahoma, that are not up to the standard of typical Alabama football. Now, their pass game is elite, but then you put that on the road against an Auburn defense that, yeah, got torched by Vandy, but has mostly played well this season and is getting a tune-up against Mercer. Now, they have a tune-up against Eastern Illinois as well. But, man, I think that is going to be one of my favorite Iron Bowls to watch for as long as that game is close, because the contrast in where those programs are and what Auburn could do. Right. Auburn could get Kalen DeBoer fired if they win that game.
They could run him out. He may not get fired, but he might leave.
It is not out of the realm of possibility. That's the likely
thing to happen. But man, like back-to-back seasons where you have 3 losses, they're not going to put up with that in Tuscaloosa.
I don't think they should.
I don't think resources to and access to, like.
Yeah, and the talent that is on the roster, it is definitely not good enough. And then think about that. What if Auburn? Let's just go crazy hypothetical here for fun.
Why not?
Auburn beats Alabama.
Okay.
Kalen DeBoer and Alabama mutually decide this is no longer a good situation.
Sure,
we're done. Kalen DeBoer is now the most coveted head coach on the market. He'd certainly be up there. I think Penn State would call him and hire him in 2 seconds.
I think Penn State is probably a better fit for him.
I think it could be.
Could be. Is Penn State willing to wait that long? I don't know.
See, now you're asking interesting questions because this comes back to one of the biggest problems in college football is the calendar. It
got worse.
No, I think it got a little better. It got a little bit better.
Yeah.
The early signing day in December needs to go away. Put signing day back in February where it belongs. Okay? Let's start with that. Secondly, the portal not existing in the midst of bowl season and the playoff is all in all a good thing, but they still kept it before the season is over. And so you're still going to have guys leave teams that are in the playoff competing for a national championship, which is why it just should have been right after the season. What it should be. Get rid of the December signing window for high school recruits. Move the national championship up a week. So instead of January 20th, it's like January 15th-ish, in that sort of range. And then a week after the season ends, once all the fallout and everything settles, then open the portal for a couple weeks, then have signing day in February, then drop schedules in March, spring ball in April and March, and then continue on as college football does. That I think is the best schedule.
That's messing it up. Everybody wants their roster made by spring, and they don't want to be able to like have people leave after spring, which they did away with. They got rid of the spring portal window. Hugh Freeze said this, and I actually think he's right, and it sounds like he's got support amongst the coaches. You change spring into, if you want to have mini camps or whatever, but then like do your spring in the summer, early summer after your spring window. This is when the spring window was still a thing. But I think from an academic calendar standpoint, that way you're not rushed in the portal before classes start in January.
I think making decisions about college football based on classes is foolish.
You have to.
You don't though. That's the thing, because we
I
make
would
it.
you.
We
I
make
100% agree with you.
Yeah, we make exceptions in the sport when a coach is fired, for instance, and they just suddenly can disregard the academics. And it's like, wait, so if you just have the desire, if you just have the will to act on it, then you can disregard the academic calendar. Because, like, man, I think it is important for kids to continue getting their educations at the core of college sports, because that's what most are getting out of it more than anything, in addition to the experience.
Study hall and all that they have access to, they are getting their education.
Yeah. Give me a break. Anytime someone says, well, you can't put this here because of the academic calendar. Dog, who gives a you-know-what?
Spencer, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Locked On College Football and Locked On Ducks are available wherever you are listening to this show right now. It's like we're part of the same network or something.
Like we are.
It's almost like it's the number one sports podcast network. Yeah, I think that's the case.
That's where we're at. That's where
we're at.
Please like
and I'm
the video,
on Twitter.
Please subscribe.
At S. McLaughlin CFB. Yeah. Anyway, all right, now I'm done.
Give Spencer some love. All right. This has been Locked On Auburn.